be the ones to get the next step. I'd even dare to say that Roddytops is a better friend for Shantae than Sky herself. As contradicting as it might sound, Sky has regressed from someone who used to be Shantae's most reliable ally in the GBC game to some girl looking for a boyfriend to take care of her in Pirate's Curse to stuck-up whiner in Seven Sirens. Something similar to how Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi regressed into a horrible stuck-up hermit in that way, though Sky's isn't nearly as egregious, obviously. If you've been following me for quite some time now, one of the most well-known videos on my YouTube channel is none other than why Roddytops is WayForward's best written character. I went over her valuable traits, and how she became top tier in the Shantae series. It's still up, and you can view it anytime you wish, or after watching this one. Today's topic will go over a character who has been on a concerning stagnation, or rather character assassination. I am talking about Sky. She's been an interesting case for a lot of the Shantae spaces following Pirate's Curse, and it is debated if she still has any merit left after what transpired in Seven Sirens. The questions are, who is Sky? What went wrong with her? And how can she be better in the future? After revisiting the games and doing online research, I will break down into each segment and explain who Sky is, what went wrong, and how in any way can she be absolved from stagnation. We'll start with character analysis before jumping into the post-Pirate Curse era, discuss ways of improving Sky as a character, and then speculate on advance as the upcoming installment of the Shantae series. Don't worry, if you're a Sky fan and thought this is going to trash her all throughout the video, it's not. This is to explain where it all started, how it happened, and what can be done to go forward. With that out of the way, let's get the plane flying. Get it because Sky flies her pet bird across the skies and... oh. Anyways, let's get to go.
Come on, the sooner we check in, the sooner we can relax.
In order to understand how it all came to be in the Shantae series regarding Sky's character, we need to take a look at how she is described initially. Sky was a resident in the Oasis town from the first game, and she has since moved to Scuttletown. She owns a bird named Wrench, who is loyal to her and often used as a war ally. In a way, she's often seen as a mentor to Shantae due to being barely older than the Half-Genie hero. Sky was wise, experienced, and supportive whenever is needed. She and Shantae would at times tease each other in a friendly manner. We can see from just the description that Sky is a mentor figure to Shantae, despite that Mimic is her uncle who also acts as her mentor as well, and is much older. Sky was seen in her former hometown Oasis as a regular member of said town. However, she would end up moving to Scuttletown. She helped Shantae go through these adventures in the first game, and uncovering the secrets of the genies, while defeating enemies in the process. Risky's Revenge rolls around and it plays much the same for Sky's part. Since the game itself was shorter than the 2002 original, we see less of her in it, although she still acts as a mentor or helping hand to the Half-Genie hero. Now, there is something that concerned fans who were following Shantae at the time, and it's due to the fact that most of the characters in the series are somewhat surface level, save for Shantae and Roddytops. I don't see it as an issue in the first two games though, since the series was still around 8 years at the time Risky's Revenge came out, and there were only 2 games at that time. One thing I will say about her character in these 2 games that they resembled Sky as a dependable ally who is resourceful, supportive, and experienced. Could some flaws help her to be more interesting? Yes. But did it all work in the following games? Well...
Come on, the sooner we check in, the sooner we can relax.
Pirate's Curse is considered the pinnacle of the Shantae series, and it's not difficult to see why. Shantae's discovery of her lineage with the genies, the Pirate's Curse return, twists and turns, and all that good stuff. Even Roddytops rising to high-tier side character. But the one thing that stuck out like a sore thumb was Sky. So, what happened? The storyline of Pirate's Curse focuses on Shantae joining forces with Risky Boots to find dark magic with a lamp that was used in the previous game and search for the Pirate Master. So, what of Sky? In this game, she's sidelined to a smaller role and has a romantic crush on the individual named Barracuda Joe, a member of the Ammo army led by Ammo Baron, who was the first boss of the game. In addition to Sky's role being reduced, we get to see her parents later in the game, who tend to tease from time to time, embarrassing Sky at certain points. Since Sky's role has been reduced, Risky Boots took over the role as part of level transport and acts as an ally, and foil, to Shantae's journey in Pirate's Curse. Because of this, Sky became more subdued in the third installment, which is odd considering that she was important to Shantae in the first 2 games and has helped her throughout their events. Having a reduced role isn't so much of a problem for Sky in Pirate's Curse. This has happened in other game series before where character roles would sometimes change depending on plot, character relationships, or just out of convenience. That in itself can work in some instances, and is supposed to work just fine, but there are 2 problems with this. One is that Sky sometimes tends to be a bit more condescending than just teasing. Although this was largely due to her parents' involvement in having to deal with other foils throughout the storyline, the latter understandably so. Second is her romantic relationship with Barracuda Joe. What was the point of the relationship? Well, he was someone that she's been connecting with after Admiral Baron settled in Scuttletown and took it over. However, as the game went on, there was an instance where he was turned to stone and Sky freaked out over this. But then seems to be back at square one as Pirate's Curse came to a close. Her role in Pirate's Curse felt stunted compared to the first 2 games because of the wasted romance and her lack of involvement. What would have been easily been an upgrade to Sky's character instead felt wasted with the potential romance and growth between her and Shantae and their friendship. I'll discuss this part more in how her character could have been improved since it was made for that. Now we have come to Half-Genie Hero, and it's more or less the same as her Risky's Revenge role. She has a larger part this time around, though tends to be somewhat teasing towards Shantae. Sometimes it isn't too bad, but there is a moment where it seemed out of character for Sky. An example is letting Shantae off wrench at the beginning of the game. Instead of allowing Shantae to jump off at a safe distance, she boots her off at a much higher one. I'm not sure if this was meant to be funny, but I wouldn't push someone off the cliff because they have to get their job done or something like that.
Bullshit.
However, much of her part in the game remained largely the same as previous entries. While I don't think it's a full-on upgrade, it's a step up from her part in Pirate's Curse. It clearly shows that despite Sky's flaws, she can still be an interesting character. The flaws presented in Pirate's Curse and Half-Genie Hero could still work for Sky to grow. Perhaps we will see Sky come to terms that she may not be as perfect of a person as she would like to be. Baby Sky steps up her game and aids Shantae in any way she can, as she did in GBC and Risky's Revenge. Surely she must.
What is she wearing?
It's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard.
Well, that was a massive letdown. Now look, I criticized Seven Sirens before when I spoke of Shantae's lore. I like the gameplay and its explorations. I still stand by them. However, some aspects of the storyline were underwhelming, save for Roddy Tops. But the biggest offender of this letdown was Sky herself. I wouldn't say that she was just underwhelming in the 5th installment because Sky was clearly mean-spirited and incompetent. So what led to this? Seven Sirens begins with Shantae and her group, namely Bolo, Mimic, and Sky, arrive to an island where they can spend vacation at. Upon that temporary stay, Shantae's gang comes across the Half-Genies. One night, the Half-Genies, including Shantae, and the unnamed zombie genie who is in no way Roddy Tops, perform at a stage. But a mysterious force takes them all except for Shantae herself. To make matters worse, the town shut down so that no one leaves or enters it. This frustrates Shantae and wishes to go on a journey on the island, or rather underneath it. But while many of her close friends warn her it's dangerous when the mysterious threat, presumably Risky Boots, is running amok, Sky seems to not only close herself off to the situation and spends all day relaxing, but also seems to shove Shantae out of every single turn that they meet. Midway through the game, Shantae meets Armor Baron, Admiral Baron's brother, and we see Sky joining alongside him at the Armor Town. Shantae naturally wasn't fond of the fact that he is related to Admiral Baron. If you recall both Risky's Revenge and Pirate's Curse for what he did. But Armor is more pleasant. He offers defense materials for Shantae and her gang if Sky accepted the proposal from Armor. The subplot that we already got from Pirate's Curse, except it didn't go anywhere. In fact, it was practically forgotten after that was all settled and done. Especially with all that being foiled by Shantae herself later on. But what's worse is that Shantae and Sky would end up meeting again and getting caged into packages as some sort of fan service action figures for Squid Baron to fluster over, after they get sold out by Armor Baron, by the way. But after all of that, Sky and Shantae don't seem to form a conversation about what transpired. Not even a post-credit scene, or bonus mission, or heck, maybe even some fan art that was offered, where they would open up about their issues. it's practically unresolved.
Come on, the sooner we check in, the sooner we can relax.
Now that we've covered all of the games, it's time to discuss improving Sky as a character. I'm going to lay down a number of storylines that would have made Sky a more appealing character. Keep in mind, not all of these ideas are really final or deepened, just some possible solutions to use. For Pirate's Curse, I would give Sky a bit more prominence in the storyline as a backup ally in case anything happens to Risky Boots. Let's say Risky was captured. Again, at an Empire by Techno Baron. Shantae has begged Sky to help her on releasing Risky from Techno, but is reluctant on the thought, perhaps rebuking it profusely. But having to bite through the conversation by asking if Sky would do the same for Joe if he was taken away by Hypno Baron, implying that he was a valuable unit to Ammo Baron and could jeopardize their imperialism if anything so dire were to occur, as if it already did previously. Sky thought about Joe for a moment, realizing that Shantae may have a point. Sky did try to distinguish the difference, though she stumbled on her words as Shantae got more desperate. Eventually, her empathy got to her and decides to go along with the Half-Genie, but only because she cares for her, not Risky. They go to the Frostbite Island and make their way to confront Techno Baron. Sky uses Wrench to keep the flying machines at bay while Shantae attempts to break Risky free out of Techno Baron's machinery. Once they complete this task, the group flee out, but not without Bolo, of course. After all that is done, Shantae thanks Sky profusely, though Risky and Sky are still at odds with each other naturally. Even if they were captured as space princesses, they would scoff at each other no matter what. But it's Shantae's powerful empathy that kept the group together. The next point that would have supported this first solution, Sky's relationship with Joe. No, not that Joe. But the mundane yet cool guy that works for Emerald Baron. As much as I am not a fan of romance stories, I would give this couple credit if there was a deeper look into their companionship. Maybe Sky sees something about Joe that comes at the realization that not only does a good man need to be as resourceful as Sky, but also having an understanding of her situations. But by the same token, Sky also learns that she isn't as wise or tough on the surface when Joe asks her about possible insecurities or issues with Shantae. Not wanting to break out of fear for how Shantae would feel, Sky places a facade that she knows everything without applying her own principles. Maybe that's why she is often an impressive figure to Shantae in the first place, painting herself as an idol for the Half-Genie hero to cry shoulders on when faced with intense adversity. After something happens to Joe turning to stone, Sky breaks. This is a new development for Shantae. A role model she idolized suddenly is revealed as a mere human because of losing the person she cared for. Shantae wanted to give her the same companionship that she was owed to her, but was initially shrugged off. She didn't know how to feel for Sky at the moment. So they let each other off for a while until after losing Risky and Frostbite Island. Before the meetup, Roditops has a pep talk with Sky about the issue. She opens up about her problems from Risky's revenge and coming to terms that she betrayed Shantae's trust. Sky continued. I just don't know, Roddy. I hoped that Barracuda was going to give me something in life. Perhaps I can start a family. A new life. Roditops responds, a family? Yes. My parents set me up as their most prestigious idol. I wanted that opportunity really bad. And then Roditops added, but don't you think Shantae matters? She puts herself in the front line for Scuttletown and even for you. Should you be looking out for her as she did for this messy, brainless town? Sky remains silent to the question, and simply asks Roditops to leave. The zombie does so, and it was simply lonely for a while until Shantae entered the room moments later. Part of this could be a character growth moment for Sky to rebound from her loss of Joe, and not only help Shantae to rescue Risky from Techno, but also weakening Pirate Master when Shantae regained her powers. Seven Sirens would follow up with these details as Sky has finally gained the time to relax. So much of what she lost from Pirate's Curse, and Sky finally gets her wish. The group meets the Half-Genies, though Sky was reluctant at first. She eventually accepts them. However, the incident where they got captured happened, and Shantae is left alone. Following the incident, this alternate take shows Sky coming to Shantae feeling flabbergasted by the whole debacle. The Half-Genie hero didn't know what to think, completely godsmacked and disappointed. After the news broke that the island is under a lockdown, Shantae became frustrated by the fact and will go on her own. In this take, Sky warns her out of her safety as the others. Word that her vacation is on the front line, Sky didn't initially join. She must have thought that it was a reward for having to start sticking her neck out for Shantae. But this incident is causing a problem for this bird-wielding adventurer. As Shantae left, we get scenes of her relaxing, but then thinking back on how her decisions would affect her friendship to the Half-Genie hero, but would end up going back to her usual shtick. While Shantae was out, Sky ends up meeting Armor Baron, but she didn't get fascinated with him immediately. Having some flashbacks of Joe, this triggered her quietly. At first, she keeps her composure and not letting Armor Baron know something was wrong. The relationship was mutual. It was impressed with the armor he made. As Shantae made it to town, her reaction is the same as the official, though Sky reassured her that Armor is friendly. But as they make themselves comfortable, Armor sells him out and hands him to a geek, that being Squid Baron.
Bad boy!
Both of them would meet again in the same shop as they got sold to. This time, Sky ends up breaking out first to free Shantae out of the packaging Squid Baron forced them into and make their way out. There comes a moment where Sky does open up about her insecurities. She was worried that her vacation would jeopardize the Half-Genie's adventure. She was wrong to treat Shantae poorly in the past and even to this day. She understands if Shantae wants nothing to do with her after what happened. Prior to recording, however, I noted that the lobster siren appeared in the same scene both Shantae and Sky were in. I could see her in this take where Squid Baron attempted to keep the two locked in his domain, until Lobster sideswiped his attempts by locking him into a package instead. This obviously impressed both Shantae and Sky. However, Lobster would flee in the same way as the official version, implying that she is shy. Despite Sky's ownership of her own faults, Shantae still accepted her as a friend. Shantae learned that integrity is a valuable character trait to abide by. It was this that would only make Shantae calling out Roddytops even more cathartic. Roddytops was already a top tier character in the official timeline, as she not only saved Shantae from being captured during the incident and giving her the powers necessary to surpass obstacles, but also solidifying the lessons they all go through, becoming a stronger friendship group than they ever have before. Seven Sirens in this alternate take ends with Sky, Roddytops, and Shantae opening the book Harmony offered, and are eager to learn the secrets of the genies, including her mother. That development continues in the future as Shantae is so eager to learn more about the genies. Could she finally see her mother again? Maybe. But what's important is that her friends helped Shantae become the very individual that Scuttletown loved, especially Sky.
Come on, the sooner we check in, the sooner we can relax.
I have not played Shantae Advance, and by the time writing this script, the game was previously cancelled a while ago, now coming back, which is said to be released this year. Though much of its presentation is heavily set around the time after the GBC game's storyline ended, there is some speculations as to what could happen. One way to tell is by Shantae and Sky's designs. They resemble their classic forms from their GBC designs as well as Roddytops herself. My first speculation is that her character may still very well be consistent with her previous role should the writing team follow through. Second is if her role in the story remains consistent to the GBC. She acts as Shantae's mentor and way of transport as both Half-Genie Hero and Risky's Revenge did, though the former gameplay-wise was much more prominent. If anything comes up with Shantae Advance and some things needed to be touched on as a follow-up to this video, I will do so, but only after playing the game in question. Link to WayForward's 15 minutes of gameplay provided in the description.
Come on, the sooner we check in, the sooner we can relax.
Now, much of what I suggested won't change a lot of the series on the whole. Anything about Sky and Pirate's Curse and onwards is a done deal. I don't want to say the writers are bad people by any means. Hell, Roddytops is a testament to what WayForward's team can do to make great stories and characters. There's obviously room for improvement, and Sky has potential to being a great character. If none of these opportunities came through in previous installments, including Seven Sirens, perhaps that could still happen in the future. Could Risky Revolution absolve Sky's role? Will she get better in future installments? We won't know until future games can prove so. All I can say is we look up to the skies for the brave bird caregiver to be as admirable as a Half-Genie hero always saw her to be. Thank you for watching this essay, and I hope you found it informative and entertaining. If you have any input, questions, or opinions on Sky's character, and even my suggestions, feel free to post them in the comments. Feel free to share it across social media, and hope you have an amazing day. Rhett and out.